be a gamble. So yeah. Can you show me? Hey, here we go. All right, are we live streaming? Good to go? All right. Hey guys, welcome in. We're going to get into our portfolio today and do a ton. Sorry about that. We were having a conversation here with CryptoPit. Anyway, it's going to be a good one. We're going to a whole rundown of what's happened over the weekend, what's happening with Bitcoin right now. We'll get into all that good stuff. My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, so before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is CoinLedger. If you guys are getting ready for, I know most of you are getting ready to do your taxes. So now crypto taxes are done in minutes. This is one of those automated solutions that can dive into all your different platforms, all your different exchanges, wallets, etc., and can pull back your traffic and all your detail throughout your year. So it can help bring all of this to your accountant and get it ready for your tax season. It's very simple. They've got a pretty straightforward pricing program. Just jump over to their website, which is coinledger.io, and you can learn real quickly how many transactions you can get, portfolio tracking, kind of see all the things that they have available here. Absolutely one of the best products out there, I think, and I actually use this one for my own purposes. So make sure and use the link below. It'll give you a bit of a discount, and it does help the channel out. All right, so let's get into it today. Let's talk about Bitcoin, obviously running from Friday. Massive numbers Friday night. We did a ton of trading on Friday evening, and I think a lot of people were most likely in that same position. If you were over on our mastermind group, definitely coming in there. One thing to watch here is with Bitcoin, there's a couple of things. This was a story talking about the price kind of canceling out some of the FTX losses. But I think that this is an interesting position. I still think that we are in a little bit more of a positive sentiment moving into this week. And we've seen this on the CPI, a couple of things. Let me zoom in on a couple of things here. This was a consensus remaining somewhat skewed to bearish, siding with long-term, few believing that the current momentum will end up any more than a bear market rally. And I think that I'm in that same ballpark. I feel like this is a bear market rally. Now, where does it stop? That's the big question. Some people are also looking at this as a bit of a, bull trap. So just be on the lookout of this. If you are trading it, always be cautious with these kind of things. But listen, if you're a Bitcoin guy, then you do the same thing that I think a lot of us do, and that is hold some. If you're selling and trading some as a token, okay, that's on you. I would probably go the altcoin route versus going Bitcoin for that purpose. Now, there's some opportunities here, granted, because you could have been in at that 16 or even that 15K price, and there's a great opportunity to grab that because the likelihood is we will see Bitcoin do an adjustment downward eventually. Sentiment, let's go to a tweet here. A definitive explanation of why crypto prices have bounced. You can kind of see the BTC wallets added here when you look at 10 to 100 holders. You go to 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin, 67,000 wallets added in the past 8 weeks. Then you go to 1,000 to 10,000. A lot of whales coming into the space. So that in its own, if you kind of look at I'll pop this up. That in its own right, to me, when you look at sharks, small whales, large whales, etc., is to me a very good indicator of what we will see and what we have seen, and this is this bear market rally. Could this, and I'd love to get your feedback of where you think Bitcoin is running to. Do you think we'll hit the 23 or 25 zone? A couple of zones starting to fill in, definitely on Bitcoin. Here's Gareth Soloway. Gareth, of course, going to come on the show this week. We'll get a chance to really dive in deep with Gareth on what his perspective is. Some perspective on what we're getting into is obviously they're just kind of excited about what's happening. And, I think he's in a position. If you look at the chart that he showcased right here, let me zoom out on it. You can kind of see this is the pump we're in the middle of right now. And when you look at the grander picture, unless you're a new Bitcoin holder, which if you saw by the wallet numbers, there's a lot of those that are in that position, and or you're buying Bitcoin at this and you've got separate bags that you're looking at in short term, then the strategy is just like a trader. You can take a short-term bag. If you're running and you get a 20% lift, most short-term traders are going to take that profit like they should, and that doesn't hurt anything. So maybe that's the place for what you guys are looking at. Now, towards the end of the video, make sure and smash the like button right now. because towards the end of the video, we will do our portfolio update. This is one we did on the first week of January. Some of the tokens that we had put into our portfolio this year that were new, and then how we played them. So some entry and exit points on where I am currently in some trades. Again, that's just what I'm doing. You guys can follow me, don't follow me, I don't care. It's really your money. So you do with what you want. This was the tweet though that surprised me. This was Alf. We've had a macro Alf on the show before a couple of times. Alf is usually a very bear position. His statement here: feedback from a large investment bank conference here in London. Consensus view: Fed is done. Inflation coming down hard, and recession avoided. B, most consensus are trading long. So this surprises me. Now, again, this is probably not Alf saying this. I think he's looking at it more from what the investment conference is saying. And I think a lot of people have looked at this. Ran and I from Crypto Banner kind of went into it last week in a good way. I think Ran was very bullish in the sense that he felt that we had a bit of a run coming. We were talking about that, the potentials for a lot of this. Obviously, I think also kind of our different viewpoints of what AVAX was doing, Avalanche. So the fact that Alf is looking at this, and if you are not following Macro Compass, you should be. He does a really good job at really looking at some of the bigger picture things. So interesting point right now, though. Ethereum, of course, headline is, once again, has become deflationary. If you look at the current ultrasound money, that's the reason right there. You can kind of see Ethereum dipping right into the deflationary zone again, which is a good thing for Ethereum. In fact, Ethereum moved into my number 2 bag because of a sale that I took on Matic, because Polygon was in my number 2 bag position. I'll explain that when we get into the portfolio here in a minute and go into that. Another thing to watch is assessing if Matic can defend Polygon in the Solana market value flip. Now, this is another one that I think plays into a situation. And again, I think we had a really good analyst on about Solana, and that was Tim Warren. We did a show right before, and it was right when Solana was starting to hit the $8 mark. And he pretty much called that bottom and said in our show, he thought $8 was the bottom. If you were in a position to make a trade at that time, wow, what a great trade you were a part of. And maybe that was a time for you to fill up your Solana bags. My situation has been a little different. I'll explain that toward the portfolio end, because Solana, I've been in and out of that trade, and reluctantly I'm in and out of it. But and remember, we did a big video after Breakpoint raving about Solana, and I was looking at it as this is it. This is the new evolution. But remember, that was back in November, and that's when FTX, of course, changed everything. So again, position on Solana still lukewarm. Here's Polygon, though. There's some buzz coming up with Polygon, and Polygon's proof of stake chain is getting their hard fork. It's unfolding. And I think this is going to be something that will be very interesting from Polygon's position. If this goes off and does well, and at the same time we start to see some additional PR coming from Polygon. Now, granted, remember, Polygon is still doing good things, but at the same time, execution in some of the deployments is some of the things I argue with. It's not really an argue, I just kind of debate the point of they could have done better. And really, when you are doing as well as Polygon is in terms of biz dev, it's difficult to kind of position against that. But when you look at kind of the, I think, debacle of what happened with Starbucks, I think there's an opportunity here is all I'm getting at. And with that meaning opportunity, if Polygon executes on this, could be big. And obviously Polygon, is flying right now. $500 million XRP wired by Binance and Whales, as obviously XRP is now moving. We'll probably end up getting an XRP video in this week. I hope. We've got a ton of interviews lined up this week. A lot of big ones. We've got Ross Gerber coming on to talk about Tesla. We've got Gareth coming on. We've got Lynn Alden coming on this week. Jeff Ross is coming on. I mean, it's going to be a big one. So, and really good timing here, because I think timing around Bitcoin and Ethereum and what's happening in the altcoin market is going to be interesting for sure. But I'd love to get your feedback on XRP. Do you think we're going to continue to see the run? Does it also in unison kind of go as Ethereum and Bitcoin go? Do you feel like that is still kind of the position? HBAR, again, should be on your watch list for 2023. You know why we added it to our list this year. And it was not a token that I was really in as much last year, but we put it into our list this year. I'll explain that in the portfolio breakdown. But one thing to watch with HBAR is this right here. And we reported on this on the CES show. Go back and watch our CES video because we broke down all the Web3 companies that were really innovating there at CES. So big congratulations to LG. Hedera is on the move right now in the smart TV space. To me, that could be a very interesting position for this year. We're doing a round of tweets out there with some small polls that are looking at what Web3 companies could be hitting their stride this year. Take a look at my Twitter and just look at the ones we listed up on round one. Polygon was in there, and a handful of others. I think Avalanche actually, is winning that particular poll. But anyway, love to get your feedback on the Web3 companies that you guys think could win in 2023. Algorand, of course, moving heavily this week. Also, their Decipher event happened. I think there was some timing there that also played into Algorand's push. But again, there's some very interesting things happening with Algorand, and there's in terms of development. We're trying to get their team on, and it looks like we're going to have them very soon. So I think there's some interesting aspects of where Algorand is going that may be released. The big key here, and you know this is a knock I put on Algorand all the time, is they need a better PR team. They need to basically convey all of what they're doing out to the public because I think there's some opportunity here for them this year. Further into, this was a tweet out there on bullish sentiment on Veracity, and you guys know we just did the video last week on XCAD. I'm very interested in these two projects, XCAD and Veracity. I know Veracity has, and there were some things said out on Twitter about the patent aspect of what XCAD is doing versus what Veracity. I'm not going to get into all that. I don't know where they fall. We've had both of the teams on the show. Might be worth another revisit, but I was very impressed with what XCAD did. I will be more impressed when they launch the iOS app because then I can really fully test it because I'm not an Android user, and that's the one we tested the other day on the show. But I like both of these, and I do think, obviously, with Veracity, there's some advantages to the Vera wallet and all that kind of playing in. And the other aspect is around esports, NFT staking. There's some very good aspects, and I still have Veracity on our list. We have Veracity in the CPI as well. So lots of good stuff out here right now. If you're thinking the Amazon deal was good for Avalanche, I want you to step back and think about data and Web3. Think about that. Look at this tweet right here. Decentralized storage cheaper than Amazon S3. And if you look at it, there's Filecoin. That's cost per terabyte. Arweave holding it at 47. Sia Foundation storage. And then there's S3 at 23 bucks a terabyte. Kind of pricey, right? Now, granted, it is the fact that it is S3 and Amazon Web Services, completely different in terms of security layer, the capacity to scale, the ability to do one-click node launches, all those kind of things, which is one of the reasons Avalanche jumped into this space with Amazon. And there was also some confusion out there, I think, on Twitter around the Amazon and Avalanche partnership as if this wasn't a big deal. Listen, guys, we weren't talking about the partnership as a big deal. It was the solution that Avalanche has executed on something they made a big promise on. Actually, I think it might have even been our show when we talked to John Woo the first time, was that bridging Web 2 to 3, whoever comes up with a simple solution for that, these are going to be one of the big leaders in the market. And Avalanche did that by implementing this one-click node launch within the Amazon, Web Services. So to me, that was the bigger picture. And then they did a combination blog between the Amazon team, which is their Web Services team, and the Avalanche team, which it was John Woo, that did a full, blog release of what actually occurred in there. So I would suggest that you guys check into that. It's one reason we're holding on Avalanche in a big way. Chainlink, of course, on the move, also very bullish. Also on our list right now in the portfolio. So lots of stuff happening out there. Love to get your feedback too over here on the side. Let me know what tokens you guys were trading over the weekend, if you were. And also, if there's some projects that you're watching that maybe we don't have on our radar, we always do the research. We'll dive into them if we can and try to get those included in future stuff. Here's Sandbox on the move as well. Big move in sentiment. And this is one thing that we saw last week in the CPI. Our power index is there was a movement there around metaverse. Gala, of course, kind of led that out. It's interesting. Gala led that out pretty heavily. Sandbox came along for the ride, I feel like. But there was a lot of move here. Good social mentions up currently on Sandbox as well. Don't forget, this is the ecosystem that Sandbox is playing in right here. Also, if you guys didn't catch our video with Animoca Brands, make sure and check it out. We had Yatsu on the call or on the show the other day. It was last week. Very interesting video, and also he gave away a few little alpha pieces in there. So I would suggest if you're interested in metaverse, if you're interested in Web3, go back and watch that video because it's a really good interview with Yatsu. All right, so just a quick look before we jump over to the portfolio slides. You can kind of see Bitcoin coming in right now, still holding at 21.2. A little sideways action right now. Ethereum was a little bit more up right now. It is a little bit more on the move. It's one that has been a bit more of a winner here. Let's go back to the Jan 6 right there. That was when we dropped our last. So we're up almost 28% on Ethereum right now. So not bad. BNB also had some pretty significant moves. What are we up there? Again, this was back on Jan 6 right there. The reason I'm using Jan 6 is that was the round of when we added in the new portfolio, up 16, almost 17% there. Sol was the big one. Right there was the bottom right there. Guys, we did this video with Tim Warren that week, last week of December. And kudos to Tim because he and I were talking about this and he was penning it right there, 164%. So if you traded that, good for you guys. All right, let's get into let's go over to the slides. Let me jump over there and we'll present those. So this was our update of the portfolio and some things shuffled around just a little bit and I'll explain why. Bitcoin, still 45% of the portfolio, very low risk, I feel. Entry point on this last bag was 16.8. We did a 50% exit on this at 21.2. So we're right there on an exit. I think that sold this morning. But we're holding the rest, so we're kind of looking for a little bit longer run on this. Ethereum, we got in at 12.50. We're on hold on that one. We don't have a plan to sell that one just yet. Matic, unfortunately, I had a stupid order in, and it executed at $1. So 50% of the Matic moved, and it shuffled the balance of the portfolio a little bit. XRP, we're holding at a 33-cent entry. Algo, we entered at 18, holding 50% of that bag right now and sold at 23. Atom, we came in at 10, sold all the bag at 12. HBAR, we came in at 39 and sold all the bag at 0.039 and then 0.050. Some of these we didn't get in, unfortunately. And then XCAD, we got in $1. I'm holding that right now. This is a very extremely risky project that we'll see. It's my gamble of the current situation. I'm waiting for that iOS app to drop. If it drops and we see something pretty significant, XCAD could make a little run. Again, it will also depend where the market is. These were the speculating and the swing tokens and positions. Render, we went in at 44. This has kind of been our theme here in the crypto pit. Render is kind of that 40-cent window. Anytime we get a chance to grab it in 40 cents, we've been jumping on those. Again, this is not something I recommend to you guys. This is what I do with my portfolio. I don't care if you do it. I don't care. Okay, it's your portfolio. Do what you want. But HNT, interesting stuff there because I still think, ironically, there's some very unique things happening with helium. And we did a swing on this one at $1.81 and sold it all at $3. And then we've got Avalanche in there. We also had another exit at 17. This was an accidental exit, but it sold everything, or 50% at 17. We're holding the rest. I feel like we still might have some movement on Avalanche, depending on what is happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin starts to break down, all of this could revert out. So you need to have your stops in place if you're going that direction. BNB, same thing. I'm on 256 and I'm holding on that one. This is where we are right now on just some of these short-term movements in January. And so far it's been a good January because of this run. But remember, these are very caution. Some of these are very caution related tokens. You can kind of see my list right here. Extreme on Sandbox still. Near, OMI, Link, XCAD, Extreme. High is Arweave. Atom I still have as high, and XRP I still have as high. I've got Algorand as a medium. Hedera, because of CES, I've moved up to my medium. And then, of course, Matic, ETH, and Bitcoin are my only low risk as it goes. All right. We'll get into some questions. I know we have a poll. Let's take a look. All right, so here we go. What will happen first? Bitcoin to 23. 18. Interesting. 23. Whoo, that's going to be a time. If it hits, I mean, right now sentiment is sliding forward. Can it hold the rest of the week? I think there's going to be there could be some market situations that occur this week. We'll have a lot of analysts on to talk about this. I'd love to get their opinion on this, so make sure and stay tuned to all those. All right, so let's go back over here because I want to get back to the charts. Hang on one second here, guys. Let me bring that chart back up. All right, here we go. Let's go back over to Bitcoin because it's starting to move a little bit there. All right, so what do we got here? Jack says optimism, I believe, could be a nice addition. That's not a bad idea, Jack, because we've looked at that one before a couple of times. Remember, this is January when we start building portfolios. We're going to throw tokens in and out as we go. Joe is a good one for a DEX, definitely on Avalanche, as is Jim. Yes, for sure. All right, what was the other one? The questions are coming in here kind of crazy. All right, I'm not going to put that one up there. Dakota, Phantom. It was on our list, and it just didn't make the cut. It still is in kind of my zone of keep my eyes on it. But I haven't traded Phantom as much as I did mid last year, so kind of interesting. Qantas Pump'em, that one's on my list. I just didn't get a chance to grab it. Block and Dome, probably not going to make my Web3 list right now for those. Illuvium, there has been, Illuvium we pulled out of the CPI for some time, and it was just we weren't getting enough transactions of data to be able to analyze the sentiment. But I'm looking at maybe adding that back in. What's going on with H&T? I think right now the deal with Helium, let me pull that chart up real quick. The deal with Helium, and again, if you look at this bottom, where was that? Back here, let's go to Jan 6th, right here's an entry. So if you look at that, 72%. The deal with Helium right now, I think, is still centered around this 5G partnership, the T-Mobile rollout, and whether or not they will be a true entry point for Web3 in 2023. And it's very possible. I mean, we've had Frank on the show a couple of times, their CEO, and we're going to get Helium back to talk about kind of their because there's a lot of things happening with them, and they drop a lot of alpha throughout the year. So this is one, as I said, it's in my swing list and definitely will stay there. Good for you on Michael James buying some Solana. Man, dude, congrats, baby. I hope you took profits. Good deal. Thank Tim Warren on that one. What if you were wrong on Bitcoin? It does not go back to your lowest. Hey, it can happen. I mean, we could be in that position, guys. I just don't think that the market and the macro will support it. We'll know come FOMC week if this is going to hold on. Remember, we have 3 weeks, I think, left before we'll see FOMC. If we get the quarter, like a lot of people are looking at, yes, I could give more bolster to the market, but I still think we're looking at jobs and credit to cause a bit of a problem. And remember, Q1 earnings will come out in April. We've got a lot of the earnings that will start to drop this month for Q4. So there's still a lot of it there. Jack Keen, thoughts on ICP? We've had Dominic on the show before, and ironically, I'm a big fan of what they're trying to do, and it's probably not a bad idea to bring them back. We did this, I would say, at least a year and a half ago. We had ICP on. Dominic was on. Fantastic interview, I thought, because he really showcased what ICP is trying to do. But the thing that I said at that time is I just felt like they were too early. And could they be more in tune with a trajectory trying to become the internet of blockchain in the future? Okay. Leighton, BB, I think you'll be calling this crypto winter bear rally even if it hits 50. I will not. We'll just put it out there, guys. If Bitcoin hits 30K, we're not in a bear market anymore. That would be a super bear rally if we were at 30K. But guys, just don't get overzealous on this. Remember, euphoria is when mistakes are made. And right now, I feel like those market euphoria signals are coming in. Because remember, it's like what Gareth was saying earlier. You withhold candy from kids too long, and you drop one M&M, and it becomes a free-for-all. So just be cautious of these kind of things. Anyway, good stuff on Gala Games. Yeah, we've got some stuff coming in. Actually, I think Jason is going to be coming on the show very soon. So let me see where Gala is on the chart real quick. How did it survive the weekend? So it started to come down a little bit. It did get in that sentiment. This is some stuff we were doing over the weekend. We were looking at a heavy sentiment zone right here, and sure enough, it's falling out. So I'm going to watch Gala a little bit right here. If I was looking at an exit point, this might be my position right there on Gala. Yeah, right. No, this is not financial advice. I don't give it financial advice. This is an entertainment channel. Didn't you guys know that? Entertainment channel. This is what we do. No, we do research and we dive into how we're doing things. If you follow us and do that, then it's on your own accord. You guys know that. But I tell you right now, don't follow anything I do because I'm 90% wrong. Good idea to set on the sidelines. I mean, if you were in on the sidelines and you went in on Friday night, then you probably took a lot of, you got an opportunity to take some profits today. If you're in on the sidelines right now, I would say caution right now. Just if you're right now on the sidelines, it means you deployed no capital, you didn't do anything on the Jan 6th video that we did. Interesting date, right? Yeah, just so you knew. Big dump coming tonight, says Lutish Fishman. We'll leave on that. Big dump coming tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, and of course, we'll drop a video for you guys that I think is a very interesting one around what happened at Solana Spaces over the weekend. And it was in conjunction with McDonald's. And you've heard me talk about on Web3. This will be on our Metaverse Insider Show. This is a big video. You guys don't want to miss it. Make sure and catch it. It's at 5 o'clock today. We'll drop it out there on the channel for you guys. If, of course, you're not in the Diamond Circle already, you got to get in. This is the free place that you get a chance to communicate with us. We're back and forth. We do a lot of drops there of content, keeping you up to speed, and then also even CPI updates, all that good stuff. If you guys want to catch me, it is out there on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath, that one.